By 2030, the battle royale between payer AI agents and provider AI agents will drive up the overall administrative costs even higher than what it is today. Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
Disagree, okay.
Disagree. They'll annihilate each other. It'll all be good.
It better be disagree. Yeah.
We're excited to be starting this conversation on a really important topic around evaluating, monitoring, and deploying AI at scale.
We're starting every ambulatory doctor at UCSF, 2,000 of them now has access to an AI scribe. We're using both Abridge and Ambience. You start on the easiest problem that is going to have a real impact, that's going to gain the buy-in. And that is then how you segue into more ambitious uses that are going to have a greater impact, things like diagnosis, clinical decision supports.
The agents are effectively going to kill software to a certain extent. Therefore, there is a first-time opportunity for startups in any meaningful way to really surpass this blockage of the traditional software that sort of really exists as the system of record in these organizations. So the system of record companies, I think, like for the first time, should be worried.
I agree with you. I think that would be the best outcome. I interviewed several people who had pretty tough things to say about Epic and some of Epic's tactics. None of them let me use their name in quoting them in the book. They are all scared of getting on the wrong side of Epic. So there's a monopoly here that's a little bit hard to break through.
For the systems who want to lead, they know they need to move faster than Epic.
Yeah.
They know they need to move faster. And so the question is, how do you do that safely? And how do you prove to someone that you can do that safely?
I don't even want to talk about Epic. I mean, I think that for the first time, AI is finally smart enough to augment staffing. And so we can mess around here with all the IT you want and kind of how do you make it a little better and how do you make sure they're open? I mean, who cares? I think the more interesting conversation says we finally have the ability to, really address big staffing shortages that we've had probably for all of human history. Like, I bet you go back 4,000 years ago in ancient Greece and you were short staff. I think there's a very big idea that says, one, we can solve staffing in a novel way. Two, this abundance will actually cause us to do novel things we've never done before.
Justin, I'm curious to hear a little bit about your experience from the self-driving car industry and how that might apply in the healthcare world.
And the question is, what can we learn from that technology arc? Because we are way behind it in healthcare. For AI radiology, we did a whole trial on one thing on an exact system, and we don't change it. Almost no use on most of the FDA imaging AI algorithms. The self-driving car industry is constantly tweaking and testing and updating their systems. And how do they get away with that? They retest. We are completely missing something like that in healthcare. How do we retest, in general, any AI system and test locally on the right environment?
I think everybody's got to move to this output testing in AI. It's the only way to be sure. We hired 6,000 nurses to make now 307,000 calls to the AI, acting as patients and identifying every error, and then we fixed it and put out a new version, did it again, did it again, did it again. Within that scope, you can get there, and you can get as safe as a human clinician who does that same role.
Love to actually get Abhinav to speak a little bit about the work you've done to build trust as well.
Today, the entire testing framework for anything in healthcare is just like fundamentally broken. Involving the buyers in this journey is, I think, incredibly important. I don't think this can basically be done by commercial entities alone.
Should that be up to the customers to define, or do we think there's a role for the government?
I think it's an impossible task for the government. The amount of AI that will be deployed in any healthcare organization of significance is going to be hundreds of tools. The government, probably the best it's going to be able to do is establish a framework for what we need to do, as opposed to that here's the benchmark that you need to achieve. It's almost inconceivable to me. I mean, a lot of the monitoring will be done by AI, which of course brings up foxes and chicken coops as you think about how this is all going to work.
My point on this isn't that we don't need any regulation or any framework. It's just that, we got to let a little bit of time go by so we can figure out where to put it and how to do it. We barely even understand the models.
One of the interesting things is like, what can we do that doesn't slow us down? To your point. Even when also, and there's not necessarily agreed upon what we should measure, but then there's post-deployment monitoring, meaning we are reporting out to the field what has been done, how is this working. That should allow us to go faster and allow us to do so more safely.